This is our natural environment, created to be magnificent, self-maintaining, and replenishing its resources to sustain its inhabitants. But mankind, the Earth's most intelligent dwellers, realizing that our planet will become a huge toxic rubbish dump if nothing is done to minimize the damage, has only recently come to acknowledge that everything that is burnt, buried, or thrown away never really goes away. In South Africa, cleaner textile production was initiated by the Departments of Environment and Tourism and Trade and Industry. It became known as the Cleaner Textile Production Project. The project is supported and funded by the Danish government. It aims at creating an awareness amongst textile manufacturers regarding the environmental and financial benefits of cleaner production. The program has already resulted in widespread enthusiasm and positive preliminary results. Once again, it was realized that man's indifferent attitude towards the environment is the main culprit, and not merely outdated equipment or toxic substances. Waste minimization is everyone's business, not only the environmentally conscientious people. So how is one to go about practicing a cleaner production process? In the next few minutes, we will look at how the textile manufacturer can readjust existing manufacturing processes or implement new methods to minimize waste and recycle resources. In this cotton spinning mill, care is taken not to waste cotton and to maintain clean and hygienic standards for the product and the employee. Quality control at different stages aims to minimize faults, remove foreign material, and to ensure an excellent end product. After the cotton bales have been blended to a pre-required specification, the Securamat machine detects any metal parts that might cause damage or sparks further down the process. Before the spinning process starts, low-quality cotton waste is fed through a condenser to a bale press. This cotton waste is later used for coarser yarn. Once the cotton lint has been electronically scanned for a second time for contaminants, it is ready to be fed into the carding machine, which draws the lint into a sliver. This machine once again removes any impurities and substandard fiber. The movement of cotton fiber is carried out by a close suction system that is designed to keep dust levels at a minimum and to remove waste for recycling purposes. Great care is taken by implementing a color coding system to ensure that the quality of the end product is maintained. The coding system is also effective for tracing the origin back to the lint supplier. Cotton sliver is then transformed into lap to prepare it for combing. The speed frame converts the sliver by drawing and inserting a small amount of twist to form roving that is wound onto a bobbin for easy handling in the ring spinning process. Once again, a mobile closed dust suction system keeps the floor free from dust. In the case of ring spun yarn, the bobbins go from the speed frame to the ring frame machine. This machine converts the roving into yarn. Paraffin wax is added during the winding process to lubricate the yarn for the downstream processes. The wax, which is later removed during the dyeing process, has to be biodegradable in the wastewater. Finally, the yarn is wound onto more suitable sized cones, which make them easier to package for dispatch. An important fact is that management and staff need to understand and appreciate the cleaner textile production processes. Therefore, staff briefing sessions at the daily shift change are essential. At these briefing sessions, everyone is given the opportunity to report on problems, to introduce new ideas, or to make suggestions that can enhance the work environment and improve the end product. This is also where support for a cleaner environment is encouraged. David van Heers explains his company's attitude towards cleaner textile production.
We are very proud at Frame Textile Corporation to be ISO 9002 accredited, and as can be seen from the production, we are well on our way in terms of cleaner textile production in getting our ISO 14001 accreditation.
From the spinning mill, the yarn goes to a weaving or knitting mill where it is converted into fabric. During the weaving process, the yarn is coated with a protective material called a sizing agent to protect it from high mechanical stress. This must be removed through a washing process in preparation for the dyeing process and should therefore be biodegradable. The saying, "You can't control what you can't measure," needs no explaining. At this textile mill, relatively minor adjustments and staff awareness campaigns in the preparation of fabric for printing has led to considerable savings. A waste minimization performance board, implemented to report on weekly savings, was erected at a central spot in the plant so that the plant's performance is visible to all the employees.
Cleaner production does make good business sense. For us here at Burger Textiles, it meant a reduction from 289 litres per kilo of fabric to 186 litres per kilo of fabric. On the steam side, we reduced from 34 kilos per kilo of fabric to 26 kilos per kilo of fabric.
The print designer plays an important role in determining the use of less harmful dye stuffs and colors. Here, the client can be advised as to the choice of color that would reduce the risk of environmental pollution. As an example, a client would be advised to use a blue dye instead of a turquoise one, as turquoise contains more heavy metal elements than blue. Harmful chemicals and effluents are responsible for 85% of pollution during the textile manufacturing process. This is why the choice of dye stuffs and chemicals for fabric, as well as the mixing of these, is important. Treatment is carefully done to minimize the impact on resources and energy. Leftover dyes are recovered and stored for similar usage in future. Considerable saving during the washing of the printing rollers is achieved due to the use of recycled water and only a final rinsing with clean water. In this knitting plant, using a closed yarn feeding system reduces cotton dust. Secondly, the knitting oil is applied through a closed feeding system. The oil contains biodegradable emulsifying agents. This knitting plant also installed a proper dye house control room. The client's sample is analyzed by using a spectrometer. The dye house manager finds a matching color recipe that is less harmful to the environment. The recipe is carefully weighed. It is then mixed for the dyeing process. An automatic chemical dispenser supplies the correct measurements of chemicals for the dyeing process, minimizing wastage to the drop. After the dyeing process has taken place, the fabric is removed from the dyeing machine, whereafter it goes on to the next treatment. The final treatment is the direct wetting of the fabric with fabric softener, which makes an additional washing process unnecessary, resulting in the saving of water and chemicals. The final quality control point is a light table where fabric is inspected for faults which are tagged. This knitting plant has achieved significant savings on water, salt and energy since enrolling in the Cleaner Textile Production project. For each 10-kilogram weight of fabric, enough to supply each of a 15-man rugby team with a jersey, the saving comes from this amount of resources to this. To explain his enthusiasm about how his company has benefited from participating in the project is Selwyn Gershman.
We at Gregory Knitting Mills are very committed to taking forward this project that we've embarked upon, which is called Cleaner Production. This was originally brought to us by Dansed, which is a Danish organization, and we have found within our own plant that by adhering to these new ideas, we can save ourselves lots and lots of money, which goes straight to the bottom line. We have found that our usage of water, coal, electricity, all our essential components in dyeing, for instance, have been reduced, and we are now finding ways within our plant to even take this further to other areas where we can apply these principles and hopefully improve our bottom line. It's worked for Gregory, it's a good thing for the environment, and we are fully supportive of taking this forward.
Finally, the woven or knitted fabric arrives at a clothing manufacturer's plant. Here too is an additional important phase in the process of cleaner textile production. In any clothing manufacturing company, it is at the designer's office where the designer is responsible for converting fabrics into products that consumers highly desire. This makes the designer the single most important interface between the textile fabric manufacturer and the end consumer. Today, there is an ever-increasing trend worldwide to manufacture apparel and other home textile products that have been made in an environmentally friendly way. This pressure comes directly from the consumer, filtering its way right back through the whole of the manufacturing pipeline to eventually the cotton grower or synthetic yarn manufacturer. Let Leslie George explain her responsibility as a clothing designer.
Since the global trend is towards environmentally friendly garments, we as designers have the responsibility of selecting environmentally friendly fabrics when initiating the design process. It is our obligation to advise our clients and consumers on fabric composition, such as fiber content and dye stuffs, which could be detrimental to the environment. In following the specifications according to the manual, we are striving to achieve garments that are not only aesthetically appealing but also consumer and environmentally friendly.
Leaving the designer's office, the garment patterns follow a route to the marker-making division where fabric usage is optimized by a computerized process to ensure minimal wastage. An average of 93% usage is achieved here. After the fabric has been layered up, the automatic pattern cutting process takes place. It is now the turn of the machinists to sew the garments together. Hereafter, the final touches are added before being dispatched to retail outlets. The need for environmentally friendly products is still steadily growing. These products carry a number of eco-labels to inform the discerning consumer that the product purchased conforms to environmentally sound production methods. In the case of the EU's eco-flour, the criteria for utilization are based on a life cycle assessment. This means that the history of each product is followed from the beginning to the end. Cleaner textile production does not necessarily require rocket science to achieve success, but it does require mankind to change its attitude towards conserving the planet. Simple commitment, together with flexible and innovative planning to control, measure and improve existing harmful processes, will lead the way to sustainable development. Development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Professor Chris Buckley summarizes it as follows.
Cleaner production requires an attitude change, a different view in how you go about your everyday work. It requires a commitment from top management, middle management, and everyone on the factory floor. Because after all, we're all in this one world together, and we are only looking after it for our children.
Our environment will not be saved by laws passed or justified wars, but only by the right attitude. South Africa has a well-developed cotton industry. The main production areas under irrigation are the Loskop and Hartswater irrigation schemes, Waipi on the Limpopo River, and Uppington on the banks of the Orange River. Rain-fed cotton is mostly produced on the Springbok Flats, the Northwest Province, and on the Makatini Flats below the Josini Dam in KwaZulu-Natal. Cotton production varies from large-scale mechanized to small-scale traditional farming. Large-scale mechanized farming is conducted by using modern technology. The production process is fully mechanized. It starts with proper land preparation and planting, followed by well-scheduled irrigation and fertilizer application. Insect control forms an important part of the production process. This is either done by using tractor spraying equipment or aerial application. Plant growth is regulated chemically, mainly to avoid rank growth. When the crop is mature and the bulbs are opening, the crop is defoliated to avoid trapping the leaves in the lint during picking. Finally, mechanical pickers harvest the crop. The pickers dump the seed cotton into baskets, which are conveyed to the module builders. The cotton is compressed into modules, also called loads. These modules are stored in the field until transported to the cotton gin. On the other hand, small-scale farming is done by family units, involving all of the members of the family. Land preparation is done manually by animal traction or hired contractors. Planting is done by hand or light one-row planters. Excess plant population is thinned out by hand. Weeding is done manually. Insects usually attack the cotton plant when it is 5 to 6 weeks old. Insecticides to control them are applied by knapsack sprayers. Chemicals are also applied by tractor when available. At the end of the growing season, the bolls burst open and the seed cotton is ready for picking. The cotton is then picked by hand, baled and delivered to the gin for processing. At the ginnery, the cotton is sucked from the modules onto a blending floor. From here it moves through a closed suction pipe to the saw gins where the fibre is removed from the seed. The seed is used for oil expression, animal feed and many other products. Most of the impurities and plant material are now removed. The cotton lint then moves to a bale press. The bales are properly wrapped and stored. The cotton lint is spun into yarn for weaving, knitting and dyeing. It ends up as garments, apparel, linen and other household textiles. The Cleaner Textile Production Project, which was initiated and funded by the Danish government, aims at delivering a crop free from contamination by chemicals, which is produced in an environment free from the use of harmful contaminants. To meet these aims, the pests are controlled according to integrated pest management systems.
That's
the time to spray. So the figure is 12 eggs on 24 plants.
Farmers and scouts are trained in both the large and small-scale sectors to identify pest insects and to spray only when economically damaging numbers are present. This process uses only the least harmful chemicals in order to conserve natural enemies. For ease of counting in the field, a simple pegboard has been devised making use of matches travelling down coloured tracts at the end of which sprayable populations are indicated. When spraying is indicated, the aim should be to use the minimum amount of the suitable chemical applied efficiently by air or ground equipment. Once the cotton crop is harvested, it is delivered to the ginnery for processing. At this time, the farmer is paid according to a well-devised grading system maintained by Cotton South Africa. Small-scale farmers make a valuable contribution to the national crop, and a major effort is being made to increase the size of their crop and the scope of their activities. A well-known farmer from the Makatini Flats in KwaZulu-Natal expresses his opinion about the Cleaner Textile Production Project.
My name is Phineas Kumete, the chairperson of KwaZulu-Natal Cotton Growers Association, of which is a provincial cotton growers organization. I plant cotton on the Makatini area, which is a beautiful part of the country, with wild animals and vegetation, beautiful bushes. We grow cotton there with the principles of IPM. We only apply chemicals when the pest numbers reach a certain level. but we still produce very good cotton. We understand that how dangerous chemicals can be, and we don't want it to be a problem in our area. We always want to keep our area clean and free of pesticides.